Hello everybody, I'm Maria and welcome back to my Nook. Today's video is going to be a reading vlog, but I want to try out a different concept compared to what I usually do in my reading vlogs. And I've already mentioned it in my last reading vlog that I kind of want to try two different concepts. So in the last reading vlog, I tried the first of those concepts, which was doing a weekend reading vlog. So just filming over the span of one weekend or like 3 days, basically. I think I did it for Saturday, Sunday and Monday, which is not exactly the weekend, but it is kind of the span of a weekend. And in this vlog, I now want to try to start a book and finish a book, but instead of updating you daily, which is what I usually do or did, I want to update you basically once I hit the 100-page mark, when I hit the 200-page mark, the 300-page mark, and so on in the book that I will be reading in this vlog, whenever that may be. So I might be updating you daily. There might be 2 or 3 days in between updates. I don't know yet. I don't even know yet how long it'll take me to finish this book. I just want to try this out because, as I said in my last reading vlog, I kind of noticed that my reading vlogs were getting longer and longer simply because sometimes it does take me a whole week or longer to finish a book, and my updates were getting repetitive at some points because some days I really only read like 20 or maybe 30 pages, and oftentimes not that many things happen within 30 pages of a book, and an opinion on a book doesn't change very drastically within 30 pages usually. If that happens, I will of course update you apart from the 100-page mark. So anytime something special happens or I have any special thoughts that I want to share with you immediately, I will obviously update you. But other than that, I will try to stick to the 100-page mark and update you at that point all the time until I finish the book, so that I actually have something to talk about. You know what I mean? Anyway, that being said, I want to talk about the book I want to read in this vlog, which is going to be, or is already actually, Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Su Lin Tan. And I hope I did not mispronounce the author's name. I also really hope I'm not going to butcher any of the characters' names too much. I know I will mispronounce them in some way, most probably, but I hope it's not going to be too bad. Anyway, this book was the December book club pick of the book club I'm in, I think, or maybe it was November, but it was definitely a couple of months ago already. I just didn't really get to the book in that month, and then for a couple of months I wasn't really in the mood, and now my hold at the library came through at a time where I thought, I think I'm in the mood for this now. So I am now borrowing the ebook from my library via Libby, which is also why I'm not holding up any book. Back when the book was announced to be the next month's pick for the book club, I looked it up and I kind of researched it a bit, and I thought it was interesting, so I put it on my TBR, but since then I haven't really looked at it again. So I don't completely remember anymore what it's about, but I know that past me was interested in it. So that's what's going on. I have already read the first chapter and a little bit into the second chapter, and so far we have met the main character, Xingyin, and she lives on the moon basically, but from the map that is included in the book, it's a bit of a different constellation than what we know, I guess, maybe. So far it's a bit hard for me to imagine a picture of it in my head, but I'm sure that'll get better once I actually read more into the book. Anyway, she lives on the moon with her mother, who is apparently the moon goddess. At least that's what the main character believes. And they also live with a servant or maid. I don't exactly remember what she called her because she usually calls her by name. Like, the main character, Xingyin, believes her mother is the moon goddess because she's been living on the moon all her life, and to her it appears like she and her mother, and apparently the maid servant as well, are immortals of the celestial kingdom. That's what it's called. And the mortals, which are basically the humans living on Earth, it appears to the main character that they are worshipping her mother. So she thinks her mother is the moon goddess. So far, I'm not 100% sure if that is actually true, because her mother is in fact exiled to the moon because of something she did. And then there's this celestial court that basically watches over her mother because, again, she's exiled, like basically imprisoned on the moon. So they're watching over her, and here comes the thing. This celestial court was not aware that her mother has a daughter, so they're not aware of the main character's existence, and they're not supposed to be aware because the main character is not supposed to be existing. And that has become an issue now, and her mother was like, you need to go because they can't find out that you exist. And right now I'm at a point where she is trying to escape. There's a lot going on already, and I already have a lot of questions. Some things already have been revealed, and we really have been thrown into the story. Damn. Definitely intriguing so far. I'm very excited to continue reading. I just realized that I have been having a tiny bit of a hard time to get into the story, perhaps because we've been thrown so deep right into it, and so many things are just brought up, and I'm like, there are just so many things I don't know yet and so many questions, you know what I mean? But I'm sure that'll all be resolved, or I'll get more into it once I read further, because I'm really only in chapter 2. And there's that. I'll continue reading now and update you once I have passed page 100, or once I have anything extremely urgent to talk about with you. Hello everybody. It is now 2 days later, I think, since I started this vlog, and I have now passed my first mark in the book, basically, that I set for myself. I am over 100 pages into the book. I'm 23% into the book. That's probably a better way to say it anyway, because I'm reading an ebook again, and like page counts are different depending on the setting, etc. I am currently somewhere in the middle of chapter 8, and so far I listened to a bit of the audiobook, which, by the way, not that big of a fan of the audiobook. I don't know, I'm just not really vibing with the way the narrator is reading the book. But that doesn't mean it's bad, it's just not really for me, I guess. Since we last talked, the main character, Xingyin, I hope I pronounced that correctly, I think that's the way the narrator pronounced it in the audiobook. She escaped from her home, which was the moon. Then she had to like work for some lady as an attendant, which honestly sucked because people were not being nice to her, and she was struggling a lot because her whole life, and by the way, I don't think it has been stated once so far how old she is. I don't know, I might have missed it or forgot about it, but I have no idea how old the main character is, which kind of really bothers me at this point. I might just look it up or maybe wait until it's mentioned, I don't know. Anyway, so her whole life she has only ever lived with her mom and that attendant that they had, and she never met other people. She's never had friends. Her mom did teach her some things like writing, playing the flute, I think drawing as well, and like some things cooking, baking. But other than that, she just doesn't have much experience with society and community, sort of. She was struggling a lot to find her place and like find friends, obviously, and find her way, you know, in this new life that she kind of has to get along with now. So then she met this boy or young man, I don't even know, because I have no idea how old they are. I also don't know which age group this book is targeted to, whether it's like YA, middle grade, I don't know, because I don't usually pay attention to that. So maybe that would give me an idea of how old the characters in this book are, but like, I don't know. Anyway, she met this male person. They talked together. Then she found out that he is actually the prince of the Celestial Kingdom. So his parents are literally the emperor and empress of the Celestial Kingdom. And she was treating him like just another guy. And then she found out another thing was that he was hosting a kind of competition to find a study companion, I think is what they called it. The main character, Xingyin, was allowed to take part in the contest, and she won. So now she is the companion, the study companion of the literal prince of the Celestial Kingdom. Like, I think they've become friends. It's just a bit hard to tell, honestly, because there have been quite a lot of time jumps. A couple of weeks here and a couple of weeks there, and a month here and a month there, and it's already been a couple of months since she started being his companion, as far as I understood. And I think all that happened within like 2 chapters, maybe? I mean, the chapters are rather long, but still, I am kind of struggling a bit to feel connected to them and their relationship and what they're doing, because we also kind of skim over a lot of their training and their studying and their friendship developing. Like, as I just said, it's already been a couple of months of them becoming friends and we barely saw any of that. Maybe it's just me, but I've been struggling a bit with that so far. And I've also been kind of struggling a bit with the inner monologues of the main character. Maybe I'm being too harsh with this book. There is a good portion of showing in this book, but then on the other hand, there is also so much telling in the inner monologue of the main character. Sometimes it feels like the main character is analyzing way too much in her head. There are situations where somebody asks her something and then there is like 4 pages of inner thoughts and an inner monologue before she realizes that she has not answered the question yet. And I'm like, this is kind of getting out of hand. I mean, I kind of get it because again, she's not really used to being around that many people. I just feel like that might be more of the author trying to tell us readers what to analyze instead of it being the actual thoughts of the main character, if that makes any sense at all. I don't know, something about her inner monologues just sort of bother me. But anyway, that's my update so far. I will continue to read and let you know what I think the next time I have read another 100 pages. Maybe I'll change my mind, maybe things will be more explained or something. But honestly, I'm also almost 1/4 into it, so I don't know. But I'll see. Alright, hello everybody. I have quite the reading update for you. Last time we talked, I don't actually know how far I was into Daughter of the Moon Goddess, but I've read further until now and I finished chapter 10 yesterday and that's about 29% into the book. And I have now decided to DNF the book, which was a pretty hard decision for me, to be honest. And I've talked to other people about this that have read the book or tried to read it, because again, it was the December pick of the book club I'm in, so obviously other book club members have read it or tried to read it, and I talked to them about this and asked like, hey, do you think it would be worth continuing to read it and stuff like that. And I have now decided to actually DNF the book, and this is the first book ever that I actually DNF. So that's a kind of big deal for me. It's not because I'm usually against DNFing books. I'm all for like life being too short to force yourself through books that you're not actually enjoying. But I also kind of have this fear of missing out, that like when I stop reading a book now, what if I miss out on something really good because the good part only happens later on in the book or something like that. It's probably a bit silly, but it is what it is, I guess. I've now decided to DNF the book, basically because of all the things I have already mentioned. None of my initial thoughts and feelings that I have had on the book from the very beginning have changed so far, and I am almost 1/3 into the book. There's still something, just something that I can't put my finger on about the inner monologues of the main character that just kind of bothers me. I don't know. And then the fact that, like, literally I was in chapter 10, and yes, the chapters were rather long, but still I was in chapter 10, and there was already a couple of time jumps where we always jumped a couple of months. And while that's fine in certain cases, there was one case where I was like, this is kind of sad. And then in like chapter 8 or something, that was a 2-year time jump. We had just started really getting to know the main character. We have barely met the male main character, and they had barely started becoming friends and stuff like that. And then there was this 2-year time jump, and all of a sudden they're really close friends. They were starting to have feelings for each other. The main character was really far advanced in her studies and in her training. And chapter 10, where a specific scene happened, really hit me in the face with how much I am struggling to build a connection with these characters and like just care for them and their relationship. And I was like, this is not it. I was not feeling it for some reason. And again, I talked to other people in the book club about this, and somebody told me that those exact points are the exact reasons why they DNF'd the book as well. Somebody else told me that they really started to get invested in the book by like 20 or 30% of the book. But that's the point I was at, and I was still not getting any more invested in it. I was just kind of not in the mood to invest my time and energy into a book that I'm just not enjoying and that I'm more struggling to read, actually, and I just really did not want to put myself into a reading slump. So that is that. Maybe I will enjoy this book more another time around, because I am actually really interested in the synopsis, and the concept and the world sounded really interesting as well, but maybe just not right now. Perhaps another time. So what I have done now is pick up This Savage Song by Victoria Schwab, or V.E. Schwab, same person. I am so far, I don't actually know for sure right now. It's a bit hard to tell which page I'm on, because this book has a prelude and then chapter 1 starts on page 1 again. And obviously I could calculate which page I'm on, but just looking at the page I'm on doesn't tell me how many pages I have already read in this book. That's what I'm trying to get at. Anyway, I think I'm about like 50 pages or something in. I've just finished chapter 4 plus the prelude, and let me tell you, that's like 10 or 11% of the book perhaps, and I am already so much more invested and intrigued than I was by Daughter of the Moon Goddess after like 1/4 of the book. So I'm so happy about that, because that is exactly what I needed right now and exactly what I wanted. There are two main characters, Kate and August, and they live in a city or a world where basically violence breeds violence. So violent acts create monsters. I wasn't able to grasp much of the concept yet. The beginning of the book has been a bit info dumpy, because there's a lot of concepts in this world apparently, and we've already gotten both POVs from both main characters. So yeah, it was a bit hard to like jumble everything in my mind, but I'm already realizing that the more I read, the easier it gets to sort things like, okay, this is that and that is this and so on. I'm just really enjoying this right now. The world has so far a very specific vibe. The only thing I'm kind of struggling with right now, but that might just be because I'm not used to it, is the fact that this is obviously a fantasy novel, but there's smartphones and tablets and all that kind of stuff. This is still kind of different and my brain needs to get used to it first, I think. There's also like surveillance cameras and all that kind of stuff. And I just haven't read a book with that sort of text for quite a while. So yeah, that's something. But again, it is so interesting so far. I put this book on my TBR in like November or something after I had read V.E. Schwab's Shades of Magic trilogy. I was like, I need to read more from this author. And now I finally do. I don't remember much about the synopsis of this book though, because again, I put it on my TBR in like November and haven't touched it since. I just know that back then it really intrigued me. When somebody was murdered, a monster just spawns out of the shadows or something like that. There hasn't been much explanation yet. There are apparently 3 types of monsters. I think one of the main characters is one type of such monsters. The capital city of this country is divided into 2 parts because of a territorial war that went on like 6 years ago. And there are also a lot of hints about the backstory of one of the main characters. And I am just incredibly intrigued. Like basically, one of the main characters belongs to one side of the city and the other main character belongs to the other side. So that's very interesting. I just finished like chapter 4, so not much to talk about yet, but I'm very curious to see where this will go. And honestly, I just want to sit down and keep reading. And that is exactly what did not happen with Daughter of the Moon Goddess. So I feel like I made the right choice. And I am going to sit down and keep reading now. Alright, hello everybody. It has been a couple of days since I last updated you, and I know I wanted to do it in 100-page steps, but that did not happen so far with this Savage song because I wanted to update you the day before yesterday, and then I just kept reading and reading and reading. Now, I told myself I am going to grab my camera and film an update first thing today morning. And guess what did not happen, because it is now 2:30 p.m. And I am now on page 299 of this Savage song, so almost page 300. I have just finished chapter... well, it was chapter 5 of part 3, I believe. The book is divided into different parts, but the audiobook says it was chapter 29, so that. And I am really enjoying this book. It's very dark, and the atmosphere in this book is kind of giving me a bit thriller vibes too, somehow. I mean, there is a lot of violence and a lot of dark stuff happening, and just, I don't know, there's just an overall dark atmosphere which I don't mind, and I feel like it's also a bit more apparent for me because I'm listening to the audiobook. I'm not 100% sure where I was when I last updated you on this book and what I have already told you, but there's the two main characters, Kate and August. August has now received, or not now, it's been a while since he has received that mission, but he had received the mission to basically go to school with Kate, so they would be able to just like keep an eye on her just in case things go sour between the north and south side, so they would be able to like have an eye on the daughter of the boss of their enemy, basically. Kate and August got to know each other, and honestly, I am in love with their dynamics. I really liked August pretty quickly, and with Kate I wasn't sure for quite a while. There are some scenes in which I liked her and other scenes in which I didn't like her. I feel like she's kind of quite a morally gray character, which is really interesting. I'm not 100% sure if it's very likable. It's also not that I don't like her. You know what I mean? There's just some moments where I'm like, oh girl, that was not cool just now. But I mean, that just kind of makes her more human, you know? August is just really likable in my opinion, even though he is the monster. That's another thing, by the way. There's 3 different kinds of monsters in this world, and there's 3 different kinds. Yeah, they got to know each other. I really like their dynamics. I'm rambling so much right now, but things did go sour, just not in the way everyone had thought they would. And now Kate and August are basically running away together and trying to get to safety. I don't even have that many thoughts on this book because I'm simply enjoying it so much. I read so many pages in this book yesterday, and I now have like 3.5 hours left in the audiobook. I might be able to finish the book today, actually, which would be wild, but also pretty cool. I don't know though, because I am going to a birthday party in the evening, so I'm not 100% sure. It kind of depends how long we're gonna stay. But I'm just enjoying this book so much, even though it is pretty dark. But honestly, I love the concept of this book because there are those 3 different kinds of monsters, right? The soul of a so-called sinner. Those are the people that have created a monster with an act of violence. One type of monster can extract the soul of those sinners with music. I mean, that's why the title. But like, this concept is so fascinating to me. It's probably the main reason why I picked this up. Like, the duality of this, the fact that something as beautiful as music is taking these souls, basically killing people, but on the other hand, only killing bad people. Like, August can only hurt bad people. He can't hurt non-sinners, basically. And that is such a kind of poetic, almost, concept that is so thought-provoking, in my opinion. And I just find the whole concept of this book so incredibly interesting. Just the fact that like violence breeds monsters is so poetic somehow and so thought-provoking, and just, I don't know, I'm enjoying it so much, and honestly I can't wait to keep reading. Like, so far I just wanted to keep reading and keep reading and keep reading. And I am going to do that now. Let's see how far I will get today. If I can't finish it today, I am like 100% sure I'm gonna be able to finish it tomorrow. What? No. Okay, so I have finished this Savage Song by Victoria Schwab. I've read like 150 pages or something of this book today. And I'm so... my god. This is the 4th novel and the 7th work that I've ever read of Victoria Schwab or Byyee Schwab, and she has yet to disappoint me, honestly. Like, so far I've read the Shades of Magic trilogy and I've read the prequel spin-off graphic novel series The Steel Prince. Both of them were amazing. A Darker Shade of Magic was the first book I had ever read by Byyee Schwab, and I instantly fell in love with it, and that one actually made me want to pick up this Savage Song because I wanted to read more by Byyee Schwab, and I loved this book. I enjoyed it so much. The whole concept of this book is so interesting and fascinating and thought-provoking even, and the whole world is so, I don't want to say cool because it's quite grim and dark and dangerous, but it's interesting to read about in a novel. I would not want to live there if I'm being honest, but it was fun to read about it. I really enjoyed the characters, especially August. Somehow the way he went about the world was so relatable to me, and there were so many just nice and kind of wholesome moments with him, and then also between him and Kate, and I loved their dynamic and the way they kind of grew together, but it wasn't made a big point in the book. I don't think it was mentioned once that the characters or anybody around them actually realized how they had grown together, but they did, and it was visible or noticeable for the reader that their dynamic had changed throughout the book, and it just naturally happened. And I just really enjoyed seeing that. The way this was written was so, I don't know, I don't have that many thoughts, to be honest, because this book also pulled me through all the feelings, let me tell you. That one clip I filmed, I thought I was just gonna film a time-lapse of me reading one of the last chapters, and then something happened that I was absolutely not prepared for. And I was like, what is going on right now? I obviously can't talk much about the last parts of what happened in this book, but shit went down. Also, please do check trigger warnings. I don't know if I mentioned this at the start of the book, but please do check trigger warnings because this is quite violent and grim at some points. I don't have that many thoughts. I just really enjoyed reading this book, and I just had a really great time with it. I honestly cannot wait to pick up the sequel in this duology, which is Our Dark Duet. Unfortunately, I saw that none of the bookstores near me have it available, and I'll have to order it, but that will probably take 2 to 3 weeks, which is very sad. But I might be able to borrow an ebook from my library, so I'll be fine. But yeah, all in all, I just really enjoyed this book. I might not give it a full 5 stars. I haven't quite decided yet, just because the beginning was a bit info dumpy, but I still really enjoyed this book. So maybe a 4.5 or 4.75 even. It's really close to 5 stars, maybe even 5 stars. I haven't decided yet, but I will. I'll probably just have to sit with my thoughts and feelings for a bit and process what went down at the end of this book. I'm gonna stop continuously repeating myself about how much I enjoyed this book now and just say one last time that I really recommend this to you if you would be able to read it with all those trigger warnings. But anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this reading vlog as well, even though it started a bit tricky or maybe even a bit chaotic. I don't even know because I haven't edited it yet.
Hey everyone, this is Editing Maria. After editing all the footage, I want to add a few more thoughts about this vlog format. I tried this out because I wanted my vlogs to become shorter and especially less repetitive. This vlog surely isn't any shorter than most of my other vlogs. It is less repetitive, I believe, but I also noticed while editing that I was rambling way more in the clips, which turned them a little less cohesive in my eyes. I also had to remind myself to film reading updates because I lacked this usual routine of updating every day. Due to that, I feel like this vlog is missing a bit of structure, which can be fine, I guess. I'm not yet sure how to judge it. I'm just ascertaining the facts for now. But yeah, anyway, I just wanted to add these last few conclusive thoughts about this different vlog format I experimented with, and now I'll let you go back to the other Maria.
It was definitely a different kind of reading vlog. First of all, because I tried out a different format, and second of all, because I DNF'd the first book I started. So that was a first. But at least this book did not disappoint me. So yeah, if you have enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Maybe let me know in the comments if you have read This Savage Song or Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Sulin Tan, and what you thought about either of these books. If you haven't read either, just tell me what you're currently reading or anything you want to tell me, really. Subscribe to my channel or follow me on Instagram. So I will see you somewhere else on the internet. Bye!